name is Eugene Gala, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to share a word or two about Dr. Ngeyi. He's been in the Michigan community much longer than I have, and I really got to know him better in the last 5 years. The time I got to spend with him and interact with him, I came across noting that he's a very remarkable person. One thing that stood out to me is his willingness to help different causes in the community. Whenever there was a need, he was always willing and available to help. And one day I was out shopping with my son, and we ran into him, and he was, as always, very kind and friendly and very welcoming to my son. He took interest in the details of what my son is interested in, and as always, encouraged him. I think his passing leaves behind a very big space that will be difficult to fill, because in his own way, he's very unique, and the number of lives he has touched is immeasurable, and he will be missed for a long time. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Aboko. I met Dr. Stanley Ngeyi in November 1998 when we had just arrived in the United States. That was the first week. My Auntie Martha had just traveled out of town and had informed him that we were in town. So he showed up at our door, knocked, and we opened, and he introduced himself and said he was informed we were here. He just wanted to greet. So he came in with a bag of goodies and handed it to us. And you know, from there on, I really never saw him again until I went to Madonna University, when I was informed that there was a Cameroonian working at the school. And my friend took me to his office, and when he opened the door, it was the same guy that I had seen during my first week in America. And he was very friendly and very supportive throughout my journey at Madonna University until I graduated with my bachelor's degree, until when I left the school. From there on, he had been a supportive uncle, and you know, friendly, and just being a very, very nice person. He has always been that great to myself and my son Nick. I bid him farewell, and I'll miss him. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon. I am Dr. Umasi, and I'm coming from Boston, Massachusetts. I have known Stanley forever, for more than 20 years. And I came to know him through his niece, Helen Shewa, Mrs. Shewa, who is in England. And since 1996, we were friends and have become family. So Stanley is a family to me. He's been there at every pivotal moments in my family, like when my father passed away, when I finished from residency, at my daughter's graduation. He's always been there. He's gone to Cameroon yearly and has made it a point to go to Econa to visit my family, my mom, and my mom knows him very well. And Doc, I just want to say Mom is home, and she's heartbroken, just as I am, and she's asking God for a peaceful repose. Doc, you've left us too soon, but your kindness and your legacy of helping people will go a long way. I know Helen is making preparations to be in Cameroon. I just can't be there at this time, But I'm here to say goodbye, and may you rest in peace. And thank you so much for your kind advice.
Well, today is a celebration of life for a one. Great is your faithfulness, O God. Morning by morning, you renew new mercies in our life. We thank you for the glorious life of Dr. Stanley Ngeyi. For the few years that I've known him, he's a beautiful soul, a wonderful creation, somebody who left an impressible mark in my life and the lives of my family and the people who come around. And my little daughter was just here to say one of the things.
My name is Binta Mansa. Remember Uncle and his kindness. When I was younger with me and my brother, he used to give us quizzes, and whether you got it right or wrong, he'd always give you a reward. So just remember him and his kindness.
Thank you very much, and I hope that God welcomes him into his heavenly kingdom, for he was a good man and he left a good example to all the children who came in his life. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Elizabeth Vibansi from Maryland. I'm just here to say the last words to Dr. Ngeyi. We've known each other since 2008, and we've been friends. We've been through hard times, good times, and we celebrated each other's pain and suffering, and we've known each other for a very long time. We talk to each other every single day. I feel so lonely without you, Dr. Stanley. I don't know how I'm going to make it, but I know wherever you are in good hands, and I pray to God that He takes the pain away and give you that spirit to guide us. And I promise I'm going to take your advice and the stuff you taught me, to always listen, to be strong, and to give. Those qualities, I promise you I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to always remember you for who you are, and you always live in my heart. And I miss you very much. So goodbye, and I love you, and I'll keep praying for you. I hope you pray for me and my family too. Okay.
Okay, Pierre, this is Elizabeth Secord. I just came to wish you a safe journey. Your death came to us as a shock, because the last time we communicated was on the 13th of January. And then after 2 weeks, I sent you a message. Unlike you, you did not reply. I called my sister, Professor Mata Baye, who told me that you were very sick. We prayed for you and prayed that God should heal you from your illness, but your death came as a shock. Pierre, I want to wish you a safe journey and to tell you that I will continue following up all the programs concerning your school in Bali. For now, my sister, who is working with you, told me that they had already put in the subvention. I will try to see and make sure that the subvention continues to come. Safe journey, Pierre. We'll meet one day to part no more. Bye.
All right. This moment, Doc, is unreal. It's surreal. It is unreal. It's surreal. I'm just glad that I saw you before you passed. Wherever you are, I hope you remember when I came to the hospital, I asked you whether you knew that I was there. I was there with Auntie Maggie, Mola Vekima, and I asked you, I said, Doc, Do you know that Martha Bai is here? You nodded your head. I want to think that you knew that I was there to see you. And that is what I want to live with. Even though you were not yourself when you were laying down there, but I saw you while you still were on this side of things. Goodbye. May God bless you. You were the best big brother that I had. I know I call you, you would call me back. You call me, I would call you back. But you know, you've not called me, and I've not called you. So I've come to the realization that you have transitioned. Goodbye to you. May your soul rest in the peace of God. That's where you belong, and may God embrace you. Farewell, my brother.
Yeah, Dr. Stanley P. Ngeyi. We call ourselves Doc. You call me Doc, I call you Doc. The first time I met you was when my wife arrived in the United States. You are the only person that has ever given me roses, and you advised me on how to live life and love. You always told me that degrees, homes, big cars, private, all of those meant nothing. The beauty of life was internal happiness. You were private all the way to your last day. I struggled to see you in your last time on earth. I cried in the parking lot with your family, but I had no access because you were private, and we respected that all to your last day. Dr. Pierre Stanley, thank you for the service to life, to the family, the community, the entire village that you helped raise, the entire community that you helped to support. Everyone who knew you, loved you. And like I said, Doc, the only one that I have ever known that will want to be everybody's big brother, everybody's uncle, everybody's father, everybody's grandfather. Dr. Stanley, thank you for your service. I'm trying to reserve to cry, but thank you, Dr. Stanley. I'll be one of the pallbearers to carry your body, to tell you thank you for loving me, thank you for loving the community, and thank you for being a great human being who will always remember and love you. Thank you.
Wow, Dr. Ngeyi, my heart hurts. My heart really hurts. I never knew that you were sick. I think that's what really hurts me more, that I should have even called you to check on you. The last time I spoke with you was in November. We wished each other happy Thanksgiving. You told me you were going to be in my area at the Tembongs. And I said, Doc, if you come, call me. And you asked me what I was doing for Thanksgiving, and I told you I invited my siblings. I didn't know that would be the last time to talk to you. I know we exchanged pleasantries during the Christmas. Dr. Ngeyi, I want to just thank you for being my mentor, my big brother, my friend, my role model. How can I stop thanking you, Dr. Ngeyi, as a student doing my PhD at Wayne State University? You gave me a job at Madonna University to teach organic chemistry. You met me in a party and you said, I hear you're smart, I hear you got a first class in biochemistry. Can you teach organic chemistry for me? And I did. The gisting during that time, you have Chinese food ready for me during my lunch breaks to eat. All the jobs I ever had teaching, FDA, Howard University, Doc, you were always my reference. When I was going to Cameroon for my mom's 80th birthday, in June of 2022, I called you to invite you. And you said, Doc, Dr. Anyango, I can't make it. You sent me a check of $250. When we had my father's 20th memorial in 2008, I invited you. You came all the way to the house in GRA Bamenda with some drinks and came to the service. Doc, how can I thank you? I just praise God for who you are, or who you were. You were a good man, Dr. Ngeyi. You were a good man. You were my brother, my big brother, my friend. There's so many memories I have of you. But because of this short time, I can't say all of them. But from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Thank you. And I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning. This is Dr. Ngeyi, and you always call me Dr. Ngeyi. On that note, I say, big brother, my mentor, thank you, rest well, God bless you. And may we learn something from your life, that you do not have to live your life being selfish. You have to learn to serve people and to serve God. And that's what you did in your life. Thank you for that beautiful legacy that you left. Go well, big brother. Go well, my mentor. Go well, my big friend. Love you. Bye, Dr. Ngeyi.
My dear, handsome brother that God gave me from a different mother. Everybody call you Dr. Ngeyi, but I always call you brother. Just want to thank God for your life. Thank God for being my brother. Thank God for always being there for me and my family. Brother, I miss you so much. I don't know where to start and where to end, but you know that I love you so much, and I'm very grateful for all your love and your kindness, and I pray that your soul will rest in perfect peace. Rest in peace, brother. Forever be in my heart. Amen.
Uncle Stanley, it is unbelievable that we are talking about you in the past tense. Uncle Stanley, you meant so much to all of us, to Andy, to the boys, and to me personally. Ever since I knew you, you have been steadfast. You have been supportive. You've been so kind and generous with your time. Ever present at every occasion, whether it's in the village in Bomi, or it's in Bamenda, or it's in Virginia, you're always there. You took all the boys to school. You gave them advice from when they were young. You went to all their graduations. You gave them advice. And you are the uncle, the one and only uncle that they have known. As recent as November, when you were in Virginia for Andy's farewell, we all had fun. They remember this very well. Uncle Stanley, your mission, as you always told me, you've lived a fulfilling life. You've been kind, you've been generous, you've been indulgent, and you have touched lives, whether of people you know or people you don't know. God sent you to this world to carry a mission, as you always told me. You told me that you died when you were born, but you were brought back to serve a purpose, and you served that purpose. Your mission is now complete. I want to thank you on behalf of Andy, Donald, George, Henry, and Junior. The family back home, the Tar family back home, is so distraught by your demise. Uncle Oje, Abu, Terry, Fred, and everybody is waiting for you in Bamenda. Unfortunately, we cannot accompany you, but travel safely, go well, and may your soul, your gentle soul, rest in peace. We love you, and we say farewell until we meet again.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's a very difficult day for me. It's been a difficult month because I lost my right hand. He was my right hand, I was his right hand. And I don't think I will ever find anyone else to replace him. I want to take this opportunity also to thank the Lansing or the Michigan community for coming out and doing what they have done in order to say goodbye to my dear friend and brother. And for that, I would say, till we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to comment on Dr. Ngeyi. He was a very good, by the way, my name is Emmanuel Bikima, and it's a pleasure for me to talk about this wonderful gentleman, a wonderful brother, and a wonderful community leader in the name of Dr. Ngeyi. He was a very wonderful guy. He was not just a community leader. Dr. Ngeyi was a humanitarian. He did everything. He answered every call. He was there at every birthday party, at every graduation. And he's a good example of what the community really, really needs. And it is unfortunate that his passing has happened at a time when we really, really needed him even more or most. We are going to miss him, and hopefully the community will have at least somebody who will always stand there and show the examples which Dr. Ngeyi has always put out there for us, and we just miss him. He was a nice guy. Thank you.
Dr. Stanley, to me, is a mystery. A mystery because I didn't get to know him, unfortunately. When I say know him, I've not met him physically. But that is somebody who has almost taken over my life after I knew about him and started talking to him. In fact, for the last 2 years, I talked with him almost every month on things about the community, on things about education, because we kind of aligned in education. He was a teacher, I am a teacher myself, so there was a lot of things that we shared in common. Community building, he was a champion, and he's really going to be missed. We had planned to meet next month for the Bavideco National Convention. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen because he has passed before the moment for us to meet. It's really unfortunate that I'm getting to see him when I really cannot talk to him and hear him talk to me physically. However, he is going to remain part of this community for a very long time. We are going to miss him. Have a restful moment in the bosom of the Lord, Doctor. Thank you.
Well, my name is Dr. El Nassar, and I am a friend of Uncle Stanley. I got married to his younger brother, Paul, and I came to this country in 1996. It is a wonderful pleasure. And as a young wife, Uncle Stanley was one of the people who encouraged us. When we went through health challenges, Uncle Stanley came. I had a child with a medical condition. My mother with a medical condition lived with us. Uncle Stanley was always there. And unlike a typical African guy, he will send flowers, he will bring flowers, and he will bring chocolates and gifts and say a kind word. But one of the things I remember in one of our conversations talking about the children and the extracurriculars, and we stumbled on Taekwondo and Karate. And he went on to tell me about the benefits of Taekwondo. And I recall him saying that in his quotes, "I am inordinately strong." And I looked at him, and with the eyes of a clinician, I could see his strength, I could see his equipoise, and I could just see his posture. And it was reflective of inner strength, inner calm, and a stoicism, which I began to look at him, and I looked at him differently from that time. And I know we've mentioned that he had black belt in karate, but that day he told me that he was a 4th degree black belt. And so most of us do not really understand and cannot really know him in the depth of his spiritual evolution and his spiritual journey and where he was as a human being and as a spirit being. But I know that he had transcended lots of stuff, and I'm not surprised in the way he orchestrated his end of life. And it's just a privilege for me to give a tribute on his behalf. And thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, yeah, my name is Paul Sarr from Atlanta, Georgia. Lived in Michigan for a very long time until our recent move to Atlanta. It's kind of tough for me to say or to speak about our brother in the past like he was. It's very tough. But we take comfort in the fact that he was a good man, a decent man, a very kind person, a person who took everybody like a brother or a child. So he's no longer with us, but the work that he did to humankind, both here in the United States and in Cameroon, speaks to the character of him. So while we are going to miss him here on earth, we will take comfort that he's in a better place, he's resting. So I really don't have much to say except to say we will miss him, and we're here to honor him as he bows out this sinful world graciously. Thank you.
Hello, well, my name is Professor Bonja Mugwe. I'm at Wayne State University. I've been here for over 30 years. I came in 1992. Professor Stanley Ngeyi was one of the first people to welcome me here. He actually gave a party to welcome me in this part of Michigan. I moved here from the next state, and really since then we became good friends. I was the start of my career, so I would say my career really is largely, in part at least due to him. I really do not have the proper words to really describe Professor Pierre Stanley Ngeyi. Let me just say he was a good-hearted man. He was a given human being. He was very, very, really unselfish, and he was always there. I don't remember going to a single Cameroonian occasion without bumping into him. He was always there, invited or not invited. He was a fixture in our community, and I don't think he's going to be replaced. I think his absence is going to be felt for a very, very, very long time. We wish him well. I ask that God, accept him in his kingdom. May his memory be a blessing to the rest of us. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I just want to thank you all for this opportunity, for giving me to stand here and say something about Dr. Ngeyi. His passing has really been a shock to this community and to some of us that he really impacted our lives. I remember in 2020, when I had my birthday, my husband organized a birthday, and Dr. Ngeyi had just came back from Cameroon, and that was when COVID just started, and he did everything. He was even sick. He had to come into that occasion and just left me a note that he had to leave because he wasn't feeling well. I mean, he is just somebody that he carries everybody's burden. And last year I lost my mom. He came to my house a couple of times and he just blessed us and encouraged us. It is such a tremendous shock or blow to some of us because we didn't even hear he was sick, just to hear he died. But you know what? God has a purpose for everybody, and we know that he's in a better place. He has lived his life. He has created an impact. He has left a legacy, and we are here to keep on that legacy that he has left. And we just want to thank God for bringing such a wonderful man in some of our lives, and just to teach us that life is not about us. He was so selfless, and every occasion or anything that he was invited to, he will be there. And he's just, he's just that kind of a person. And I just want to pray for his family, and that God will give them that peace, and God will comfort them, and knowing that it was his time, no matter how short his life was, but it was his time, and God took him home. And it's just a legacy that he has left. And I believe that it's not only for the family, but for all of us that knew him, that will take that legacy and run with it, and just, expand that goodness or that kindness that he had. He was a man with a purpose, and he served that purpose, and I knew he went at the time that God really wanted him to go. So I just want to say, I pray for the family, and I pray that God will grant them fortitude to bear this loss, and that the vacuum that he has left, God will find a way to fill it, and just bring another father in their life that will take them to another level. Thank you so much, and I wish Dr. Ngeyi a peaceful rest. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's such an honor for me to be here to give a tribute to Uncle Stanley, even though our hearts are bleeding right now because he departed. But we are also thankful, and I feel very blessed to have had an opportunity to meet and spend time with Uncle Stanley. Uncle Stanley had been a good mentor to me, especially in the area of academia. When I was studying and working hard towards my doctorate, he was a good inspiration, and he encouraged me very much. And also, I am very blessed to have been in the same business with him at some point. And even times when I thought I was going to give up, he always encouraged and pushed me to not give up and do my best and not be distracted. So the last time I actually had a very close encounter with Uncle Stanley was in November, when I had seen him previously and he didn't look very healthy. So I went over to him to tell him that he didn't look well. And he actually confirmed to me, he told me he has not been feeling well. So I sent him a message and I said I was going to visit. And he was very happy, excited, and looking forward to our visit. I finally visited with him in November. We had a great visit. I went to his house with my husband, and he had some awesome, like I have never had lobster in somebody's home except his. He made some really good lobster. We had a good dinner. And of course, I made some fufu and jama. We had a good dinner together. That was my last private encounter I had with him. And after that, his health was just deteriorating very fast. And eventually, he went to be with the Lord. I just want to thank God for the time I have known him, and for his kindness to not just to me and my family, but to the community. And I pray that God will forgive his sins and receive him, and may his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Well, I don't know who I'm saying hi to here, but I'm just gonna say very few words, because a day like this to me, when you give any kind of a feedback or any kind of a statement or remembrance, is for that individual to sit and listen for himself. So who is listening to this? It's a very sad day, and I really don't even want to go too deep. It's been a lot of years between myself and Dr. Ngeyi. Whenever I came to this country, it's been a long time. Don't even want to count the number of years. I came in as a little girl, got married to my lovely husband, Mr. Atabon. And he's been there for me ever since. From when I was in Ypsilanti, Port Huron till I moved into Ipsy. From when I had my first child, you know, throughout my academics, throughout my professional work, international work. My first rose flower that I remember in our meeting house came from Dr. Ngeyi. So the relationship is deep. It's just been very disheartening for me the last couple of months when I found out he was sick, and I rushed to the hospital to spend some time with him. But they say the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh. So he's forever going to be missed. And his memory continues to live on. It's a pain that I have to deal with personally for some time. So that's all I have to say for now. Travel well to the next journey. Rest in peace and continue to be our guardian angel, Prof. I'll miss you. You've left a big, big hole. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ben Zama. Most people call me Uncle Ben. On a day like today, it's a very difficult day for me. And when I heard that Doc passed, especially because I did not know that he was sick. And when I saw the message that he had passed, it was a shocker to me. Because Dr. Ngeyi was the most vibrant, most active person that I knew. You know, with his taekwondo and karate lessons and practices, he just kept fit. And he was, the sinner is forever missed, he was forever young. That's how I looked at him. We started way back a long time ago. He was the first Cameroonian in Ypsilanti, and I was the second. And when I came in, the way he received me left an impression, a good, very great impression on me. And I lived in Ypsilanti for a long time. I had my children in Ypsilanti, and each time we had a child, he was always present. He always brought diapers and some money. Every single time, he didn't miss. And over the years, we did, interact. He helped me edit a book that I wrote. He did some edits, and he also helped me about a year ago, give me some advice on some things that I wanted to do. So when I heard that he passed, it really shocked me. And I want to say from the day that I heard that he passed, I have looked at life differently, and he would really be missed. He was a father to everybody. He was somebody in the community that was always there. And this void that he has left will be very, very hard to fill. And I just want to say, especially to his family, that they should take heart, be strong, because I'm sure he is better where he is right now. And I want to pray God that God gives them the strength to deal with this loss. And to the community, I say, let's continue in his spirit. He, left a trail that we have to walk through and maintain it. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Ngeyi, we want to wish you farewell. We're going back to the land of the ancestors. We wish you a smooth path back there and keep a place for us. We really will miss you. You were a special guy. I hope more of us can emulate who you were. Again, It was a pleasure for us to have known you. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done to us, for us, and for humanity. Again, let God welcome you with open hands. Thank you and bye-bye. Farewell.
My name is Maria Kuhn. I'm a chemistry faculty member at Madonna University, and I taught with Stanley for 34 years, since I first came to Madonna. Stanley was an outstanding human being, one of the finest people I know, a great teacher, great role model. He loved his students, and he was such a supportive colleague. We will miss him tremendously and hope to be reunited with him someday.
What can I say? The past maybe 1 month has been really very difficult, not just for me, I think for the entire community. We lost an icon, we lost a brother, we lost a mentor, we lost a community leader. Dr. Ngeyi was, I am still struggling to find words to describe the type of man that he was. But let me just start by saying that in January, I was invited to do a talk in Cameroon, and we communicated. And I told him when I come back, I'll update the community. He's like, that's true, it's good to just do it very quietly. When I came back from Cameroon, Doc was not responding. And then I knew that something seriously was going on, because he was the type of man that if I sent him a text, he would respond within a minute. The most would be an hour. If I call, he would pick. He was somebody that made me to understand that at any time, if I needed him, I could get hold of him. But now that I look back and I think of some of the things that transpired before I went to Cameroon in January, Doc sent some text messages to me, and he kept emphasizing on the fact that he would like me to speak at Eric, Cameroon. You know, Doc was just a promoter of the things I did, to the point where he had actually made it his personal duty to go to Cameroon to talk to some stakeholders there to see how they can bring me to share what I had going on with collaborative relational intelligence. But these text messages in January were different. He said, please. Then he came back, he wrote, said, please, make sure you give a talk at ERIC. Take collaborative relational intelligence there. Even if you have to do it for free, do it for me. Now I know that Doc wanted me to do that for him, because he knew that he had very limited time on earth. Why he wanted me to speak at ERIC is something that I just don't know, but I know that that is one thing I will do in honor of Dr. Ngeyi. Dr. Ngeyi transformed the community. Transform the community in what sense? I don't know how many people have had PhDs in this community that did not go through Dr. Ngeyi. When I was doing my own doctoral dissertation, I called Dr. Ngeyi. He stopped just to talk to me. And he said, sorry, Dr. Lisa, I saw your call, but I couldn't pick it up because I was driving. So I parked by the road just to answer your call. He responded to me. He gave me a follow-up. I needed an interview from him. We planned a time, and everything went like clockwork. I was shocked, you know. But because of that, you know, something stuck with me, that a man that had reached the pinnacle of his career, yet he was always very giving and also very humble. And because of that, I started learning the habit of humility. There are so many things I've learned from Dr. Ngeyi, but that is just one that I have actually modeled because of him and because of the way he handled things. The other thing I want to highlight is how great an impression he created on my family and my husband. My husband went through a very difficult time when he lost so many relatives. And I remember Dr. Ngeyi took upon himself to pen him a letter, folded it, put it in an envelope, went to the post office and mailed it to my husband. It was not just the letter, it was the words in the letters that made a difference. My husband till this day has always been touched by the gesture, that particular gesture from Dr. Ngeyi. Dr. Ngeyi was somebody that if there was a group meeting or that they were debating something, and if he was part of that debate or part of that meeting, I wanted to be part of it because I knew that I'm going to be part of something that was objective, part of something that will be geared towards moving forward, because he was not one that would pander just to get along with people. He was not one that would please people at the expense of others. And I really appreciated that in Doc. And because of that, our community, I know, and a lot of people can attest to that, has been transformed because he did not just look for what he would benefit. He always looked for the greater good. I will close by saying that there are two people in this community that were literally not really polar opposite, but polar opposite in certain things. Dr. Ngeyi was one, and I have another mentor too in the community. And every time I wanted to do something, I would run it by both of them. But I realized that when it came to something that was philanthropic, bringing people together, doing good, both of them always aligned. I began to realize that these were two individuals that, regardless of where they disagree, when it came to moving mankind forward, their minds were always in the right place. You know, Doc, I'll miss you so much. You were a mentor, you were a brother. You celebrated every milestone that I made in life. I was looking forward to talking to you about the things that happened during my talk in Cameroon. And now the whole of this year, I have all these international speaking engagements. And the one thing I sit back and I regret is like, I wish Doc was here to see me evolve, because this is what you've always wanted for me. I just want to say thank you, rest well. You are gone, but the footprints you left on this earth are indelible.
Hi, I'm Karen Schmitz, and I worked with Stanley at Madonna University for about 27 years. And I have a little story about him and my son and daughter-in-law. The last conversation I had with Stanley, he was telling me that he was the whole reason Justin and Melissa got married. They met in his chemistry class their freshman year, and he was always proud of the fact that they got together, and then they ended up getting married. He was invited to the wedding, but he did not live long enough to attend, and so we will miss him very much.
Yeah, my name is Rene Gupayu, and I have known Dr. Stanley for a very long time now. He was not just Dr. Stanley to me. He was a mentor, he was a father. Growing up without a dad and meeting Dr. Stanley for the first time, calling him dad, and it was okay for him. He taught me so many things. And there are things he told me that is going to resonate for the rest of my life. Talking about the moment before Dr. Stanley passed away, actually, he came to my house to visit me, and during the visit, he came actually to check on my health. He told me even if I was sick, I should call him. Even if it was midnight, he was ready to take me to the hospital. But at that moment, I was okay. But it was Dr. Stanley that was sick. Dr. Stanley, even at his sickbed, never tried to show anyone how sick he was. But he was there, ready to do everything for me, telling me, giving me advice, and telling me everything was going to be okay. But I didn't know Dr. Stanley was the one that was not doing okay. There are so many things about him that is so hard to say, knowing that he is not here. Upon everything he has done for us, upon everything we talk about, I was hoping and wishing that he was still here so that we could carry all those things along, so that we could have the opportunity to thank him for all he has done for us. But only God knows why. And I know wherever he is in the right hand. Because for all the good he has done, no matter the bad things he has done, God is going to compensate him for that. I just want to end by saying I will miss Dr. Stanley, and I will miss him very much. Thank you.